Okay, we are recording. Yulia, it's so nice to meet you again.
After so many years.
Yeah, huh? And meanwhile, in these years, I've noticed you went quite deeply into the human design and that direction of thinking. Is it right to say so?
Well, you know, when we met, which was around 10 or 12 years ago, and we shared some time and space in the beautiful Mayan community.
Yeah.
At that time, I was already on the way of looking around and searching something that's deeply, deeply inside and not somewhere around. And, you know, at some point, I was quite content with the inner space that I arrived to. But human design system just came to my life. I wasn't looking for it. It came to me. And the information that it contained was gradually entering my system. And the more it's been entering my system through studying and experimenting with it, I realized that I have never, ever came across such deep and precise information about human nature, about nature of reality, about probably any subject that you can possibly think about in a great detail. Yeah, so in the way I had no choice, it just happened to me. Human design just happened to me. Yeah.
When you say that you realized a precision there, is it related to the fact that it entered to your system, or was the precision there in advance and just entering to your system allow you to see that?
You know, first thing that you meet when you touch upon human design system through professional analysts is that you are going to be informed that this is not a belief system. You are highly asked not to believe anything you hear. You know, this information starts to be your knowledge, not when you hear about it, but when you practice it, when you experiment with it. So in the very beginning, when I got my reading, and actually how did human design happen to me? I received a birthday present. I received a reading as a birthday present, and I wasn't quite interested in it, to tell you the truth, as after living in India and studying Vedas and studying Kabbalah in Israel and living in this Mayan community, I was quite done with the system. I was quite done with the mental knowledge, and I was so much more synchronized with the knowledge of plants and natural medicine.
Mm-hmm.
That was basically my focus all those years. Yeah, also my source of income as I was creating natural cosmetics. But that reading brought some information that was kind of, I knew it, but I wasn't able to kind of formulate that knowledge even within myself. And so when I asked, like, how do you know? Where is it coming from? I was told that human design system is based on keys, on keynoting. So when you look at the chart, you see the chart is called a body graph. Yeah, so you see all kind of numbers and geometric figures and lines. All of that has words. Yeah, these stuff. Yeah, is words, and these words they're called keynotes, and that's where precision is. So whenever you're looking at the map for the first time, you say, what the heck is that? But when you get the analysis, all of that stuff becomes a story. It becomes your story. It becomes a story of your inner power and your weakness, of your wisdom, of your fuck ups, like of everything possible. And so the deeper you go in the experiment with this information, the more precision you see. Because the basic level for human design is, I say basic is because it's human design. It's way beyond. But most of us meet it just in the context of ourselves, right? To know ourselves. But the cosmic joke is that in order to get this knowledge, which is a knowledge of your body, of how your body operates, how your unconscious operates, cosmic knowledge is that you're using mind for it, right? You're using mind to receive the knowledge, which is about something that's beyond mind. So here is the paradox that actually the mind doesn't like this information. It doesn't want it in your system, because mind knows that whenever you're using that information, mind will not be used for decision making anymore, because you're going to be trusting your body for decision making. And so it kind of just tries to erase this information. And that's why whenever you go to receive a reading, professional reading, it's always going to be recorded. And your analyst is going to tell you that, please listen to it again.
Mm.
And more than twice, more than 3 times. And every time you're going to get more and more information from the same recording. And you're going to be like, did she say that? Did he say that? I didn't hear that. I didn't understand it that way. Because really mind needs so much space to kind of let this information in the deeper layers of who we are, of our own reality, and that is way beyond mind, as you probably know very well.
You have said that a cosmic fact that mind is like to get how you said it.
I said that it's a cosmic joke that we are using the mind in order to receive information which is actually not for the mind, which is for the body and the unconscious side of ours.
I see. That's okay. That's what you meant. And you also say that this knowledge, it goes beyond the human in a way, right? And yet, in that sense, still it is a human design. So you kind of mentioned that there is the basis of it, which is human, but it goes beyond. And just to have more clarity, what do you mean there?
Well, it's really interesting. And here I must touch the very fragile subject of the future. Because we are all concerned about the future and what's going to be there. And on the global level, human design system, which is a very new system, it came to us in 87. It was presented first to the public in 92. So it's just about 30-year-old system. And it came to us now, and its source is obviously not the human mind, but the source is quite mystical, and you can find in YouTube an amazing movie. It's called The Encounter with the Voice, which tells the whole story of how human design showed up in this world. And so it came to us to warn us and to give us instruments about the future. So the person who kind of brought this knowledge, or was the first student of this knowledge, he said that the human design is here for the unborn, which means that only through, so only those who are still not born, who are yet to be born, are going to be able to kind of absorb and fully incorporate the knowledge of human design in their systems. So for us, we are pioneers. We are here just waking up to understanding that there is a greater awareness than just physical and mental, that there's emotional awareness. We're just waking up into understanding what is the difference between emotions that act like a motor, yeah, which basically what happens with all of us at the moment, into emotions as awareness, as a source of knowledge and of deep, deep knowledge. Yeah, this is one thing. Another thing is that if you look wider, yeah, human design system presents many different disciplines, not just about one human, but about human groups. So we have a business, yeah, it's a 3 to 5 kind of it's called BG5 knowledge that helps basically to structure and organize any company from little startup to the corporation. Yeah, we have OC16 that works with huge groups, yeah, or even the whole states. And then we have what's called rave psychology, which works on the like really big levels. And all of these are the programs that are 6-8 semester long. So it's 2-3 years of education to fully understand the mechanics, not just of a human, but of human relationships in different formats. That is one thing. And then there is a rave cosmology, and that discipline that goes beyond any possible imagination. It describes the nature of what's been here before the Big Bang. It describes the mechanics of Big Bang. It describes the designs of systems, galaxies, planets on every possible level. It also gives us information about birth and death. So what human on individual level goes through as an embryo, yeah, the stages of development, and what happens with us when we are dying, how we are dying, and what's happening with us after death. All of that is a program. All of that is mechanics. And another cosmic joke is that, you know, I'm dealing with this knowledge for quite a long time, and the deeper I go, the deeper I see, because I have a possibility to compare with other ancient knowledges, that nothing is really new. Human design doesn't give us new information. We had all of this in almost every ancient tradition. I mean, Kabbalah is the mechanics of universe. Vedic tradition is as that, but they all spoke to seven-centered human being. That was an absolutely different structure. Yes, 7 chakra being. That's what's been inhibiting this planet for quite a few thousands of years. But now our genetics is changing. We are a transitional model. We are not Homo sapiens. We are Homo sapiens in transitus. Yeah, our DNA is very, very different from that's been before, even a couple hundred years ago. So this knowledge is adjusted to our level of perception. It does not contain any religious substance as the ones that we know from before. It is very mechanical in the way it's very cold, and it's just a formula. It's a logical. There is no space for believing in it. It's either you practice or not. And of course, when we talk about the human level, about building a company or going through family analysis or child development analysis, you can take the knowledge and practice it. But when it comes to gray area, like cosmology, when you cannot, just like check it out, that is information that's, of course, beyond our comprehension at this level of development. But I'm sure that we'll arrive at the point, maybe not us, but those other creatures, when that knowledge will be revealed and understood properly. But we are still in the very beginning of this journey.
Okay, I will go through a bit everything you said now, because it's a lot of information. And there are few things that came up for me to ask. I'll start with the first one. You have described three systems within the human design method. One is the rave psychology. One is something you said with 16, and one you said 3 to 5 for companies.
One is called BG5.
Yeah.
Five is because any company needs 3 to 5 people. So it's called Penta. So it's knowledge of the Penta. And the Penta is basically every like small startup, family can be a Penta, to a bigger one. When you have more than 16 people as a kind of a head of the thing, then it's already different structure. Now, when I'm talking about structure, I'm talking about mechanics. So it's all graphics, it's all visual, human design knowledge. I mean, here in the podcast, we cannot be really visual, but it's a visual knowledge. So you get the very, very precise graphs with precise information. And just looking at that, and you're taking charts of the participants of this or that group, and you can clearly see who is who and how the combination works. So instead of just testing and going through years of trying to understand who is good for what, you just have a specialist, an analyst in that field, and they are kind of coaching you and helping you to build a highly effective team, because that's what it's all about. It's about highly effectivity, and that's what we need. That's what we're looking for, and that's why very, very modern companies, they all the Silicon Valley people, they all realized how precious this information is, and they use this knowledge a lot, in the business.
So two of the three method things within the disciplines. Okay. So one discipline is to small groups between 3 to 5, which is like a core group pentas, and another is to 16 and above. It's a whole other methodology and system. And then the rave psychology is focusing on the individual and the cosmos, kind of like, if I understand correctly.
Rave psychology it actually contains all of that, and rave cosmology is a different discipline.
Okay, I see.
In the rave psychology, you get so many different things. It's absolutely incredible. It basically describes to you mechanically, scientifically, even though in the Wikipedia, if you go to Wikipedia and you go to look for human design, they're going to call it pseudoscience. And I can perfectly understand that. Actually, I agree with that. It still has not been validated by the community of society because of many reasons.
Well, the fact,
but it's going that way, and we already have we already have a lot of scientists writing the papers on the subject, so it is happening as we speak.
The fact it is tested empirically, as you say, like an experiment, this is in a way making it more towards science, like psychology, for example, which is kind of tested in the same way, statistics. And then people communicate, and maybe the system of gathering information can be more efficient with time as more people join to the experiment. But then there is also a suggested new theory, and I think that is the uniqueness of the human design. It's a whole other, maybe to say even metaphysical or physical ontology. Like it's a whole different mindset of thinking than what is familiar, and that is not necessarily for, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I understand from you, but it's not necessarily for someone that needs to fully understand or even to believe in it. It's just like, check that theory out, see how it works. It's a new mechanic. It comes from, we don't know even where necessarily, but it's something that is very complex, very accurate, and specific in its outcome. And it also, I mean, so far, right? I understand you correct, right?
Yes, and usually people who are attracted to these disciplines within human design system are those who already been for quite a while in the, in the practical human design, understood their own design, those around them, and want to go deeper. It's a very rare case. I personally never met someone who's been attracted to cosmology and never had their personal reading, leaving you a design course, which is the basic course, because this system is institutionalized. It's not that some dude received some information, told the story to a couple people, and they do whatever they want. No, it doesn't work that way. It's been tested by so many people, so many academic people, that after 20 years, there's been a really clear structure how this information has to be presented. So we have many layers, and we start with the layer of genetic type. We have 4 genetic types, just like we have 4 blood types. And we have 9 energy centers. So we study 9 energy centers. What are they? Then we have a definition, how the life force, the channels are flowing within the system, and so on and so forth. So there's a layer after layer after layer being revealed. And when you know holistically how your system works, how your body graph operates, and most important, not only you know that, but you have an actual examples from life, that's when you feel like, oh, okay, maybe I'm gonna go deeper. Maybe there's something else for me. And then you discover the cosmology. Then you discover rape psychology, rape sociology, and primary health system, PHS, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Also knowledge that goes deep into layers that you can not possibly imagine. Of your own genetics.
Which relates to health, I guess, from the name, right?
It relates to your personal health. It relates to the way your brain works. It relates to the way your all systems work within you and around you, also how your environment works for you, and what's the connection of your soul to its primary sources. And so it's absolutely mind-blowing information.
So just to play a bit, so there are different types of connections of souls to their source. Are there different types of sources as well?
We all come from different places, and we all have our own missions. So, for example, if you look at the full chart, which is called Rave Mandala, you will see the wheel. You will see the wheel, and on the wheel there will be 64 numbers, which are hexagrams that are taken from Chinese I Ching, Book of Change. In human design, we call them gates. And so if you take this wheel and you divide it in 4, then you will see that each number belongs to one of the quarters. And the first number in your personality sun, which is the main definition in your body graph, which number, which quarter it belongs, you can already understand from what kind of big mission you came here for. And then when you go deeper, you can understand more specifically what is actually your mission here in life, from what part of universe, how to say you came. We call it 16 faces of God. So each and every one of us belongs to specific phase. And of course, all those gods, please don't understand it literally. Yeah, these are just the frequencies. It's not a religious system. It doesn't talk about religion, including your own mission. You didn't come here to work here or to do that. You came here to be. You're a human being in the essence. You're not a human doing, right? And so this being in itself is a mission. And all of us have a very different quality of being. So knowing your mission is knowing what is the frequency of your being on this plane. And that is something that explained in detail for each and every one of us. But you want to hear a funny thing?
Sure.
According to the methodology of human design, we are not, as analysts, I'm not allowed to give you a reading on your mission, which is called Incarnation Cross, for 3.5 years after you had your foundation reading. Because if you don't understand, if you don't know how you operate on the very basic level of decision making, of level of feeling your body, all this business of knowing your mission is absolutely useless. So, and we say that 3.5 years is a kind of half cycle of 7-year cycle. When you enter the experiment with human design system, you basically enter the experiment of the cellular transformation, because your cells are transforming while you are aligning with your natural trajectory. So while you're aligning with your natural trajectory, yeah, more and more, then your mission is kind of reveals itself. You don't really need to know that. But whenever you're hearing about it, you'll be like, wow, that's exactly what I am. And it kind of gives you this green light to just be even more, even deeper who you are. You know, I actually had an amazing reading last week. This woman came for a incarnation cross, and I started preparing, and she had a reading many years ago, and I saw that she's here to create kindergartens. You know, that's the mission, to work to bring the frequency of education to those who just came to this plane. That's the frequency, creating schools, kindergartens, all of that. And, you know, she came to me and we talked a little bit, and she was like, wow, you know, my children are growing and I really don't like their school. I think I want to create some kind of a kindergarten. And, you know, when I heard it before telling this to her, it was like,
yeah,
this is what happens to grown-up people who really follow their natural frequency.
beautiful. So yeah, I was going to ask, okay, what are the 4 categories of missions? But then you say, oh, it's actually irrelevant to say it unless it's 3.5 years after the base reading. So maybe it's better not to ask it.
No. But this is already, I mean, we're talking detailed stuff. But in general, these 4 quarters are called, you know, quarter of initiation, and that's where you come here to basically bring the frequency of consciousness through the mind, through work with the mind, with kind of initiation. Yeah, it's the beginning of the process, is basically putting the foundation through the mental abilities, but that go beyond, that reach the consciousness itself. Then the second quarter is the quarter that's called a civilization. And civilization is basically what we are building here. So these people are deeply connected to the material plane. They're here to connect to material plane. And by the way, always, what happens with us until we're aligned with ourselves, we're doing totally different things. Always. It's just incredible. And so the third quarter is called the quarter of duality, and that's about the relationships. Yeah, so usually people who are born in that quarter, they always have an issue with the relationship or dilemma with the relationship. That's their space to expand and know deeper who they are. And the fourth one is called the mutation. Yeah, and these people are here to know themselves through constant change. What is the change? Yeah, what is the movement, the mutation? The word itself talks for itself. It is here for playing with death.
Interesting.
So to say.
So the fourth quadrant, in a way, relates also to what you have mentioned on the genetic change that is happening, or maybe even going into the experiment. You said like this 7 years period of going into the experiment, which changes the DNA. Is that change, is the actual transformation from 7 to 9 centers? And if so, what does it mean as well? And which seems also a big change comparing to what was for many millennia even, right?
Yeah, of course. And this change is happening regardless you know human design, you don't know human design. We are all going through a massive change. There's no question about it. We are entering a very new space in the galaxy. Yeah, so we're moving with a huge speed on this spaceship, planet Earth, within the solar system, through the bigger systems. And so we are entering a very new space, which brings new information. So all the events in the external world that seem like a conspiracy, and all that stuff are actually just the signs, the external, the embodiment, the 3D embodiment of these processes that are happening in the very, very, very tiny levels. They are much smaller than atomic levels, the levels of neutrino, the smallest particle known to humanity. And these neutrinos, they basically are everywhere. They are the particles that help, their role is basically to exchange information within everything. Everything is being exchanged through these particles. So now we are receiving these new neutrinos on our planet, and therefore everything is being new to us. We're entering totally new space that we never, ever had touched before, even the idea of it. And that's why everyone is so lost at the moment, because we do not have a pattern. The new pattern cannot be established because there is nothing to be like to lay on. There's no foundation. Mm-hmm. The old world is done. It's finished. We have been living on what's called the cross of planning. Yeah, we were planning. We're building the communities. We're planning the families. Every kind of relationship in our world is based on mutual support and agreement. And these are dying. So where we are going now is we're going to this new space of individualism. Yeah, when instead of having a support as a main keynote, we're having the self-empowerment as a main keynote. So we are here to empower ourselves, and that is going to be the background frequency for us as humanity, and therefore for each and every one of us individually.
What do you mean when you say self-empowerment?
It's a really good question. That is, in order to explain this to you through human design system, I have to introduce you to quite a few parameters within the body graph. Yeah, because it's like, okay, how do I say this? There are so many ways now to explain this. but mainly we have three kinds of energy: the tribal, collective, and individual. So most of us have it mixed in our personal designs, but there is a design of time, yeah, design of epoch, yeah, the period of time. And so our constant period of time, which will be finished in 2027, had a tribal frequency at its base. Yeah, so tribal frequency has a keynote of supporting. Yeah, so everything here is based on mutual support. Yeah, look around. I mean, we all trust and support each other. That's, of course, there are some kind of exceptions here and there that just enhance the rule. But now, yeah, we are moving into this empowerment. Empowerment is basically when the life force is here to know itself through itself and its own movement, its own embodiment. Yeah, so look around. When did your grandmother ever thought about, you know, being herself and living her life and stuff like that? No, not at all. We had few individuals in the history. And look around now, everyone's focus is going inside. And this is just the beginning. We're going deeper and deeper and focusing on ourselves. You know, when I was a small girl, I was saying to my mother that I don't want to have children. And my mother and the other people with whom I shared that thought that I'm crazy, you know, that I'm sick, that I'm not normal. And now look around, there's so many child-free people, and this is like, this has a name, this phenomena is totally normal in this world. So it's just one example. And by the way, when I discovered that I'm a projector type in human design, and my mission is not to bring children in this world, it was such a huge relief, because finally I understood mechanically and not psychologically why I am like that. It's just one of the little examples. Yes. So does this make sense to you?
It does explain. So you say, okay, we're going now more towards a time of individual rather than tribal. 2027 would be the full shift or something like that, a vantage point in a way of that transition. And then you said there is also the collective. So when was the focus there, or when will be the focus there? I guess it is a cycle between three of them. Am I correct? No.
No, not exactly. From mechanic perspective, we have four main gates that are standing at the kind of sun earth definition, and that's how we count. So it's a different counting from personal design, but it's kind of a same principle, even though the movement is even goes in different direction of the wheel, clockwise and counterclockwise. But it's really details that are not so important. So each gate, yeah, each number, each gate belongs to the specific stream, yeah, or circuit. So there are collective circuits and tribal and individual. So right now, the gates that we have are kind of half collective and half tribal. Yeah, so we have both collective and tribal. And where we are going is going to be 3 individual and 1 tribal. But that 1 tribal is a very special tribal. It actually operates mostly as individual. Yes, so there are many nuances, yeah, in the things. So we can say that we are moving into highly individual, self-oriented, integrated time.
So what you describe, it's a certain cycle of, I would guess, thousands of years, because it is a major shift in humanity.
400 years.
400 years, I see. Okay, so we can
So
look
if you look,
400 years ago. Yeah.
yeah, so if you look at the our history, that's also like it's around 400 years ago when we started building that civilization. Yeah, before that we had a small civilization here, a small civilization there, then it's all kind of destroyed, then we had the dark ages, and then starting around 400 years ago we started slowly kind of uniting and globalizing everything. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that is the civilization. Right now we are in that golden age, so to say. Whenever you have anything in your system that you want to embody, and you really have this true desire for that, I'm not talking about ideas from the mind, but when you come with the specific situation, you can do it. I mean, right now we are in the endless possibilities, and it's not going to last long. According to human design system, the door closes 2027, and the new species are going to arrive to this planet, and these species are going to be very, 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 very different from us. They're going to be more different from us than we are from Neanderthal or Homo erectus. Yes, they're going to be absolutely different. But the thing is that they are going to come to us through our bodies. They're not going to come from the sky. We are going to give birth to them. Yeah, and I guess that's why the word mutation today is becoming part of a dictionary of almost every human today kind of feels okay with the word mutation, even though 3, even 5 years ago, it was still kind of, we didn't feel comfortable with that word. But we are all mutating, and the result of it is going to be the new type. And this new type, which is called rave in human design, and
Yeah.
Homo sapiens are going to coexist for another 1,300 years. So that's until the next thing is going to appear, and basically, according to this cosmic history, is going to be the end of the planet's life.
So that's interesting about the new species. I have several questions about it. First, is what distinguished part of what distinguished the new species from the old one is the difference between 7 and 9 centers. Another question is, you say for 1300 years Homo sapiens and the new species will share the presence on this planet together. Is that as well part of a cycle, the transformation of a species? And if so, what was a previous stage in history around the transition of species to what is Homo sapiens? Like, how length of a cycle is that? This is also interesting. And what was the change? If it is about the centers, what was then the change?
Not just about, of course, yeah, of course, everything has to do with that. We've been 5 centers beings, then we've been 7, now 9. In the anatomical perspective, we became Homo sapiens with the drop of larynx, yeah, that gave us possibility of verbalizing things, yeah, and not just making sounds.
You said the
So
drop of
larynx,
larynx?
mhm,
What is larynx? Okay,
is the
the,
throat, basically.
that part in the
Yeah,
throat.
so drop of the throat is the difference
Mm.
between us and animals, that we can pronounce and differentiate sounds in the particular form. Of course, there are also some brain developments and so on. I just don't want to throw all these smart names and look like I'm a biologist or something, even though we do it, of course. But really, I want to simplify this story as much as possible, and say that, in terms of the new species, of course, we don't know how they're going to look like, for example. We don't know exactly anything, and that's the beauty of human design system. It doesn't bring any prophecy. It's not about the prophecy. it explains the mechanics only. Yeah, so we know that from mechanical perspective, they're going to have a very different blood from us. Yeah, so they're gonna have a different chemistry. So the assumption is that they may look like Krishna, they may look a bit more blue. We also know that they're going to have a very, very, very sensitive skin. They're not going to consume meat because there's a huge change in the diet, also for us as Homo sapiens. Again, I'm talking about mechanics. It's everything we see in the body graph, yeah, when we do the analysis. And then the main difference between them and us humans is that our consciousness is self-reflected. Yeah, so we have one consciousness per one human being. Yeah, and I know myself because I reflect upon myself. I have neocortex that helps me with these processes. Yeah, unlike, for example, animals that are not self-reflected consciousness. Yeah, they're very physical in the way. And so the new species, the rave, they're not going to be self-reflected consciousness. They're going to be penta-consciousness. And here I arrived to kind of a final goal of why human design came to us. Because honestly, everything that we do, all the work that we do on a personal level, yeah, and today, I mean, human design system is like people who can hear, who can see, and who can understand this information, which are only 4% from 100% exposed to this information, are able to hear it and to receive it. Only 4% from those 4% are actually able to practice it. And only 4% of those who practice it can really make it to the final destination, yeah? But if we're going back, we understand that all of that is just kind of, I don't know actually the exact word in English, but it's kind of, it's like a cherry or a cookie, that you are being shown and say, look at your design. Does this work, right? And we are all like, whoa, yeah, right, it works. It's so amazing, blah, blah, blah. People making 7-figure numbers, from human design, selling courses, giving readings and all of that. Not most of them, they don't know the most important thing. That all of that is needed for those unborn raves to be able to meet each other. Because what's gonna happen is that these entities, they will need to be together in the aura. Yeah, aura is electromagnetic field around the body. So the auras have to be together. Their consciousness is going to work in the penta. So they're going to form groups, 3 to 5 entities, yeah, groups. And only in the groups, they are going to be able to fulfill themselves. Now, I'm sharing this with you. I have no idea what I'm talking about. So do all of my colleagues, yeah, as we study these things. But when you receive this information, something happens in you in a very, very, very deep level. Yeah, you either resonate with it or you avert from this information. Most of us cannot stay indifferent. Yeah, there's a strong reaction. And so that's how I see the magnificence of human design system, that in the end it's here for us to be able to survive in the next many thousands of years, not thousands, hundreds of years, in uncertainty, because we are losing the civilization, yeah, we are losing the support, we are losing this stability, and we're entering this new space of survival, yeah, in the moment. It's going to be no memory, it's going to be no past and future, it's going to be just now. Something that all the channelers and all these magical people talking for so long, all the spiritual people are always talking about the now. So human design brings this notion mechanically. It says, when you get into now, there's going to be nothing but the now. So the frequency field is changing, and this new type, this new species is here to survive, and it can only survive in the group. And they're not going to share any verbal communication. Their communication is going to be direct through the nervous system and some brain waves. So it's a very different structure. They are going to be so different from us in terms of the level, their level of awareness, that it says that if you take a distance between the level of awareness of a human being and the ant that's crawling there, so that's kind of a 1 centimeter difference between us and these species. They're going to be kilometer away from us in their level
Are there already
of relationship.
Are some of them here already?
No, the first one is going to be born on 15th of February 2027.
Okay, it gives curiosity to expect to where will it be, who will give birth to it.
It's going to be in Germany.
Okay.
The first one is going to show up in Germany, and that is basically the information that whenever the first one shows up, it's like every human body carries the specific frequency. So whenever we were talking about the end of the world in 2012, remember?
Yeah.
We were meditating there together on this process, right?
Well, it wasn't really the end of the world also how we saw it. It's just the end of this big cycle in the Mayan calendar. But many made it as the end of the world.
Yeah, of course. But the how to say, the paradox is that it was the end of the world. Just nobody noticed. Those who cannot see, those 96% who are not able to hear the information from human design system, those never noticed that the world is dead. Look back. Look what's been there, and just like less than 10 years ago. It's a different world. It's a completely, we all have a different way of thinking from what's been there 10 years ago. From the perspective, of the knowledge, they say that in 2012, the last human being who's been born in the 7th center world left the body. Because we know there are some alchemists who live hundreds of years, on this plane. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's what they meant. And so now between 2012 and 2027, it's like a transitional stage. And isn't this interesting that the virus showed up exactly 7 years before 2027? It's like to the month almost, beginning of the year. So it shows us that now in the 7 years, we're cleaning the space for the new species to arrive. And the virus is not a conspiracy. It's a perfect celestial plan embodied here on Earth.
So the genetic change that is happening to us is the transition between 7 to 9 centers, right? But
and it's also finish.
Okay, but the new beings, it's not even about 9 centers. It's something completely different.
It is and it isn't. You know,
Okay.
what we have is called human design. So the nine center consciousness is about humans. Yeah, the rave are going to be quite different in many ways. And of course, we have also information on that, which is absolutely useless. You know, you don't need that information. We need information about us, about our world. What's going to be their world is basically none of our business. We have nothing to give them except our own bodies. You know, they are going to need us for reproduction because they are not going to reproduce. We are going to give them birth, and it is going to be there for another 1300 years. You know, they're going to be very different anatomy. But for us, yeah, what's important to understand that nine center is not like we grew two more chakras. No, it's not like this. It's the recalibration of the whole system. So it's just, you know, it's interesting because I did a yoga teacher training a couple of years ago. I already been an analyst, and I came there because, you know, for many reasons, but I came there and I was kind of skeptic, you know, about okay, this old seven chakra stuff. And during the course, which had of course a lot of focus on chakra system, I had my realization, which was almost like the physical, yeah, not mental, that these are two parallel systems. They're not contradicting each other. Just whenever you start observing yourself, not from perspective of seven chakras, but from nine centers, you are getting into depth, which is way, way more precise than the depth in seven chakra system, because that system is quite general. Human design system is a system of differentiation. So there is a differentiation, yeah? It's not like you have nine chakras, I have nine chakras. They operate very, very differently. And we have tools, very concrete tools to see how and know how different, what is the difference in that operation, how different they are. Yeah, your heart and my heart are completely two different hearts. In the seven chakra world, we've been a lot dealing with homogenization. Yeah, it's been kind of, you know, let's open chakra, let's open heart chakra, you know, and we're all working on heart chakra opening. But it doesn't work that way anymore. You cannot open something that like operates inconsistently, for example. If you have an open heart center,
Yeah.
yeah, if it has a white color in your body graph, you know that it's very much depending, actually it's a love center, Dhanahata, it's going to be operating very differently depending on your environment. And so you know that if you, whenever you want to be in the state of open heart, you're here to be in the environment that provides that kind of energy, and vice versa. Yeah, you also start understanding that if the heart has a state of being open and being closed, there's a reason for it. Maybe you cannot be with open heart all the time, and there is a reason for that, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of detail and precision in that system that is not there in any other system at that level.
Does the difference between the two systems, that one is homogenizing and other is making, actually differentiating more, or is it related to the fact that the other have nine centers instead of seven?
Absolutely.
In what
Absolutely.
way?
We are, as I was mentioning in the beginning, we are moving into the world of individualism. So check out every possible system. Let's take, for example, medical system.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking, you know, about the old like I'm here in the old European little town with a absolutely, 70s style hospital. But if you're looking at the modern scientific medicinal services that they're provided today, you're not just taking a blood test, you're doing genetic test.
Mm-hmm.
You're downloading an app that tells you exactly what is your kind of meat or your kind of cheese in your kind of environment.
Yeah.
There's no more homogenized stuff here. It's all being more and more individualized. The way we build, the way we educate our children, the way we dress, the way we eat, everything is being individualized.
Mm-hmm. So how does that relate to the fact there are 9 instead of 7?
As I was saying, it's not instead.
Mm-hmm. I
It's
mean,
just
in addition to,
recalibration.
because it's the 7 that were, but 2 more, right? That's the idea. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No, no,
okay.
no. That's what I said before. It's not that we grew 2 more chakras.
Mm.
Nothing like that. It's just a different way of seeing the human system.
But
It's
isn't there,
more complex.
but there is still a parallelity of the 7 inside the 9, yeah? Is it so?
A human design system doesn't work with that.
Okay, I see. Interesting. So, in a way, yeah, I see what you mean. But then again, to go back to the rave, the new species that is gonna be born. So I have a couple of questions about that. Are they related? First of one is, are they gonna be a 9 centered, or is okay? Yeah, okay. Different question. Um, they are going to be born in a human form, or maybe it will look different, but they will gonna be born through a human womb rather than a human that already exists will genetically transform to become some of that. Will they be? No. So they're gonna be born and they're gonna live necessarily in penta structures because their consciousness is in a way a penta. Instead of self-reflecting as an individual, it is penta-reflecting or something like that.
Yeah, it's basically a collective consciousness. So it's not that we mutate into them. It's going to be Homo sapiens still existing, and then the rave parallel. It's going to be like 2 parallel realities. Basically, our awareness is going to be not to deal with them, because we will not be able to deal with them. Mothers of these babies are not going to be able to touch them, to speak with them. And so today in our world, we have kind of preparation for this kind in
Yeah.
the form of autistic children. So autistic children, they are called, correct mutation in the wrong time, because they are very, very advanced, way more advanced than us. Yeah, kind of normal people in many ways, but they're absolutely not adjustable to our society. Yeah, and I had a privilege of working in autistic institution, yeah, and being very close proximity with them, and seeing how, of course, they're unable to, they were grown-ups, be part of society, but how deep and profound their world is. So that's about this transitional model, because we know that in autistic people are very, very different in their way of how their emotions operate. They do not identify with the emotions. That's one of the elements for them. So as I was starting talking about the emotional system going through the mutation, through the transformation, so it has to do with also global warming, because in order for mutation to take place, you need a heat, you need a higher temperature. So when we are here going crazy because of the global warming, we don't understand that that's a part of the program. It's a part of this divine plan, you know, it's inevitable.
So the mutation of the Homo sapiens is actually a preparation for the rave species that's gonna come through. That's the idea.
Yes,
I see.
absolutely.
Another question. You said neutrino is what makes it. It's like the quantum particles that create that structure, determine how consciousness expresses itself, um, or what is basically expressed in the nine-centered, and maybe then in a way the seven-centered is actually not neutrino, but something else. Can it be somewhere in that way?
Neutrinos are particles that are basically the texture of any 3D reality.
Yeah.
They always been here from the Big Bang. That's where the count starts. That's been something that created the neutrinos. And every time there is a cosmic event and the star is dying or exploding, yeah, the new neutrinos are showing up in the worlds. And that's when we experience the drastic changes in the world, because it's a new information. So neutrinos are very, very old substances. They've always been there. But as the new neutrino portions has been, ejected in the world, we've been changing.
So we are
So
actually
now,
we kind of like meeting a field of a certain sun that have been exploded. We have a new wave of neutrino, and that is in a way the shift.
absolutely, it's star. We just say not the sun, but sun is the star, of course. Yeah, that's how shifts are happening.
Yeah.
And actually, it's really interesting because, you are into astrology, and astrology talks a lot about, that's basically what astrology does. It talks about the influence of planets on us. And I want to ask you, have you ever thought how exactly scientifically that those planets thousands of kilometers away are influencing us human beings here?
Yeah, definitely.
How does that?
Definitely.
And what's the answer? What's
I
your
have,
answer?
it's theories. And it's big part of what brings me to do this podcast interview on that topic, because I'm curious about that answer and I want to hear more theories. So yeah, I can see an ontological shift of perception that explains when it's all made of information, then in a way, a bit of information is more essential than a particle or a quantum, even elemental particle. And this is exactly also what consciousness is constructed from. It's like a string that is looping itself. And so it's a singularity, and then it can be self-reflecting. And a planet or a star is an expression of singularity. But the thing is, its singularity can be in different dimensionality, vibrating in different dimensionality. Therefore, within the 5-dimensionality of that cosmos, in the relativistic perception from Einstein view, for example, so any 3D singularity can exist because it's a subspace of that hyperspace, which is 5D. And consciousness, in a way, is as well a singularity because we're experiencing a self. The subject is a certain singularity, but it is subtler than 3D. I mean, there is the expression in the body, but we experiencing it as a subject subtler than just the body. So there are levels of that singularity. There are like, there is in a way the avatar and the consciousness. The consciousness itself is a singularity of more dimensionality, like vibrates in more. And one of its expressions, it's through that avatar, which is a subspace of that hyperspace.
But still, we are in a 3D reality, in a very 3D bodies, with a very 3D psychology. How the heck that Mercury or Mars is influencing my 3D behavior, especially when it's retrograding?
So because it's all information, it is in the subtotal, it is all one mind in a way. That
no,
mind,
I'm asking you a very, very simple question.
Yeah,
and I'm looking for a simple answer.
Simple
Answer. How that Mercury, when it's retrograding, makes me cursing my husband for something he's not even guilty of.
Well, I have my way to get to that. I guess it's not as simply directed as you want me to go there, but I can come to that in a bit longer way. It's from the fact that it's all consciousness, and our location in the cosmos determines how consciousness expresses itself. So, for example, the fact we are on Earth and we are going around this sun, and there are these specific numbers of other planets, and there is only one moon and not 2 or 0 or 60. This is what shapes the structure of our psyche here for what emerges here on Earth. And because it's a singularity can be a subspace of a hyper singularity, it's the same like Earth is a sub singularity of the solar. And it's like, if to simplify it, I am on Earth. I am an expression of Earth consciousness, but Earth is within the solar system. And it's even etymologically, it's very suiting. It's like the soul, for example, that embodies itself in the earthly avatar. The soul is like the solar avatar, and this 3D is like Earth avatar. So there is a higher dimensionality of singularity that kind of adopts this 3D avatar as part of it, and Mercury and any other planet within the solar system is part of the soul in that sense. These are all these parallel archetypes. But you didn't
answer me.
No, it's not answering.
Simple question.
Okay, so please.
How exactly? I'm asking you in a very, I mean, I know that you bring the theory, but can you answer in a scientific way how Mercury that's retrograding influencing my psychology?
Gravitational
waves.
Way.
Not which waves?
Gravitational.
There is no gravity between Neptune and Earth in that way that it will influence my body and psychology. It's not about the gravity.
Um, the sun have 12 rings around it, and those specific planets, they kind of bring the whole ring into a singular like gravity point. The ripple of the gravitational waves is not, it can reach from the sun to Neptune, like to Sedna also. I mean, it reaches through, and the fact it goes backward, it enhances the ripples. But the gravitational waves
What
is
are
also
these? What are
is
these ripples contain? What is it made of? And so on. You
yeah,
know, again,
yeah.
science has reached the level
Mm-hmm.
that human design has been, the system, yeah, has been sharing before it reached that level. Yeah, 30 years ago, the information has been given.
Mm-hmm.
And everything we talked about now, yeah, for the last 15 minutes,
Yeah,
can be summed up. And the answer
yeah.
is in one word, and that
Okay.
word is neutrinos. Because neutrinos are the particles that are all over the place. There are trillions of them in every centimeter of being. And
Mm-hmm.
they're moving with the speed of light, almost same as speed of light. And these are the particles that redistributing information of everything between everything. And these particles, when they go
Mm-hmm.
through the planet, and then next moment they arrive to other planet, they transmit the information. So whenever Mercury is retrograding, we
Yeah.
are feeling this and that at that moment because the neutrinos are bringing that information. It's so simple.
But the
And
neutrino is coming from the sun.
no, it's coming from, there are many different kinds of neutrinos, and all of them have a very different nature. Just a couple
Okay.
weeks ago, they actually found a different neutrino. It's absolutely amazing. Like the science are finding more and more specifics. There, as I
Mm-hmm.
was telling before, the first neutrinos, they showed up with the Big Bang. And then new stars were born, and then they're dying, and then the new neutrinos are coming, and the new neutrinos are coming, and they all are still there. And that's why we have a phenomena of expanding. Yeah, the universe is expanding. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
until it blows. Yeah, or starts shrinking. And again, there are many different views to see these phenomena, but this fact that human design is the first system that actually touches that liminal space between the science and esoteric, yeah, between this knowledge that is super precise. And we still didn't get into genetics, yeah, because every number that you see in your body graph is your amino acid code. So by knowing your chart, you actually know in the precision what foods to take, you know, when to go to all of that. And I made my own experiment. I did the genetic test
Yeah.
with saliva, and I sent it to few companies, yeah, that were giving, because today there are so many companies, they all provide just specific sectors of information. None of them provide the whole information.
Mm.
And I was checking, you know, with the foods, with the environment, and it was so synchronized with my chart, with my body graph. You know, I don't have means to go to the lab. I'm not a genetic doctor or professor. And by the way, we do have analysts who are having the degrees in genetic science and biology, and doctors and so on. There are many people who understood how serious and deep this information is, and how simple it is, and the level of information. When you really have that organ that's able to perceive logic information, you'll see how structured and how divine sequence this whole thing is. But then, of course, course, the level of practicing it and experimenting with it, then when the simplicity is not that easy. Because listening to your own body, knowing your own body, not from the place of mental knowledge, yeah, but these other levels of knowledge, that when the whole party is starting, yeah, and that's why human design is not for everyone, because so many people love to talk about it, but so little actually experiment with that.
That's fascinating, and for me particularly the last topic as well of the physics, and which can be a whole talk, but we are coming towards a closure. Maybe we may have another talk later in another time to open
All
more about
yours.
that theoretical aspect. It's fascinating in my view. Um, yeah, so that was kind of an introduction of how mind-blowing can be human design. I would say, I would summarize it something like that. And how much excitement also through you can be experienced through that fascination of the knowledge, which I'm happy that you share it with me and to share it with you as well, my curiosity around that. Um,
Yeah, I remember our long talks on all the philosophical topics back in those days. And of
yeah.
course, being a 1-3 emotional projector quad right, if something tells you, yeah, in the language
Mhm.
again of the system, which actually
Yeah.
means that, yeah, I'm here to investigate and lay out the foundation and experiment with information. So I'm exactly living, my purpose and my design in the way, because as a projector, I'm already much more mental than any other people. I have more neuron connections in my brain that most of people do. And then how do I use them? I use them by studying, investigating, laying out the foundation. Again, it's the first line, the investigator, and then experimenting with it. So before I started sharing the human design system with other people, it took me around 3 to 4 years to kind of really feel secure, and that I can share this with others. It is a very slow thing, and most of people have no patience for that. So it attracts a very very particular people, and most of people take it really practical. How do I make money with it? Show me how many children I'm gonna have and all that stuff.
Mm.
But of course, when you are able to make a step further, go deeper, and I'm so happy that so many people today are doing that, and it's growing exponentially. There are millions and millions of people who at this day already fill their data in the official human design website, and it's growing. I mean, we understand more and more as humanity that we still need the knowledge, and that is the end knowledge. This is the knowledge of this last cycle of humanity that's just about to start. Yeah, so welcome to investigate deeper and looking at this absolutely fascinating knowledge from wherever you are.
Yeah, actually, I was deepening into that and reading some course knowledge about it. In that time we lived together, there was Leah that was into that back then, and I just was drinking with my eyes all her books and notebooks about it. It's very different view upon time and how it can be applied in as like into the psyche, which was also much about what we have anyway studied with the Mayan calendars and all this esoteric aspect.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, that everyone can receive something, yeah, for their own perspective if they're ready for it. And there is knowledge, yeah, it's out there. You can get a lot of free materials online. You can
Mhm.
go through the course. Living Your Design is the first course in the education system, and it's a general education, it's not professional. It's here for everyone. You know, I am very lucky in the way that I'm actually the first analyst in the world who teaches human design in the system, in the heart of matrix, as I'm teaching it to teachers in the Ministry of Education in Israel.
Mm.
So more and more people understand that it's a basic knowledge. We say that the type is a new gender, you know, and we kind of still differentiate ourselves with the boys and the girls, and today it's kind of growing into eat and buy and whatever. I'm already lost the count myself.
Yeah.
And tomorrow it's going to be the type. Are you a generator, you're a projector, you're a manifester, you're a reflector? It's going to be
Yeah.
the
Interesting.
profile.
Super
It's all
interesting.
frequencies. It's all frequencies, man. It's all frequencies.
Uh, the type is the new gender. I love it. I'm taking it with me as a contemplation. Well, I would love to talk with you more. Do you want to maybe leave information so people can reach you if they would like to explore through you more about themselves, about that system?
My name is Julia Krakova, Krakova. And you can find me in social media. That's my name in Facebook. That's my name in Instagram, julia.krakova.hd, human design.
Mm.
My website is krakova.com. And now I'm working on a new one. It's going to be humandesign.icu. And yeah, I mean, you're welcome to reach out to be inspired, to have a foundation reading or a composite reading, partnership reading. I'm giving also readings in the health, yeah, primary health system, in the and my specialization is working with parents, yeah, so I'm doing child development analysis, family practice analysis, and recently I also started giving death readings, because quite a lot of people are leaving the plane, and those who stay here still can support those who are transgressing. So knowing the mechanics of death is quite a fascinating um, field in human design that I'm recently very much active with. So if you already been through the basics, yeah, you had your reading or you took the courses. I also teach Living Your Design course privately and in groups. And you're losing the beloveds, then you're also very welcome to talk to me and receive support in that.
Fascinating. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
See you next time.
yeah, I will end the recording now.